Everybody's doing well. I know that I'm doing well. It's definitely a day before Thanksgiving. Get ready to head over to mom's house. Might do that later on today or might wait until tomorrow. It depends. I've got my suitcase packed and with me should my brother come through here and we decide to head that way and get ready for that turkey on tomorrow, as well as talking about sports and a number of other things. And speaking of sports, it was a little bit of a gloomy day here in Durham, North Carolina. We did have some rain yesterday. As a matter of fact, one of my buddies was showing me this tree that had fallen down and you could see the roots and all along those lines. So it had definitely been taken out and all in that space as there was some severe weather in terms of rain and everything that was going on yesterday, but no real tornadoes that I could tell or anything of that nature. But it was definitely some weather and it isn't necessarily winter like. I've got to find out where Bitcoin Ben is at and whether it's winter like where he is, but it's been more mild. I think the lowest we've got has been the high 30s, and that's in the evening time. And we've had some temperatures in the 60s and the 70s. And as many of you know, I am a fan of my alma mater, so I was glad that they were able to knock off the number one team in the country, that being Kansas, being a proud Marquette alumni and all in that space. So they did a little of that havoc and chaos kind of defense, got in folks' grill, and definitely made it a miserable night in terms of the offense for Kansas. And hopefully they can do something similar with Purdue and maybe even win that championship. And who knows, maybe even get a number one ranking. I mean, the last time we were ranked as high as 4, which is where we have standing currently, was the year that we won the championship, 1977. Yeah, it was that long ago that Marquette had been ranked that high and all in that space. So regardless of what happens today, I imagine that they will climb up the rankings because they're playing the number 2 team. So even if they should go down in defeat, they took out the number 1 team. So the worst they can do is probably rising up to either 3 or 2. And who knows? Maybe there's a possibility that they could be the number 1 team in the country. And that would definitely put a pleasant smile on my face and all along those lines. But people get into fields in all kinds of different ways and all kinds of interesting ways. And I've got some friends. As a matter of fact, one of my coworkers is in the crypto space, and I can't remember which of the currencies he's a big fan of. But sometimes people get into them because they are into different styles of work and everything. So I've got Bitcoin Ben with me, and I understand that Bitcoin Ben used to be, and maybe he still is, a job that is a very difficult job, but a job that a lot of people admire because they keep the country running. There is no doubt about that when it comes to truck drivers and all along those lines. I remember as a youngster, my younger brother, and I'm in my 60s, so this was probably when we were in my 20s and maybe he was in his teens, about the age of his kids, my nephews and everything. They would be asking the bus driver to honk the horn by yanking at the string and all in that space. And I'm sure that that's something even to this day that kids do as well. But I'll ask Bitcoin Ben, as I understand that he was a truck driver, and I'm thinking a interstate truck driver as well. So before we learn about how he got into the whole notion of the wonderful things that go on with the Bitcoins right now, I definitely wanted to say that I had learned that you were a truck driver, and I've got some friends that are in that space. So I definitely have a lot of admiration for folks that are going around the country and trying to get goods delivered and all in that space. So was there a particular company that you were riding for, and do you still do the trucks, or is the Bitcoins making enough money that you were able to lay the trucks down?
Hey, how are you, Mark? How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good.
Wonderful, wonderful. Very, very wonderful to actually meet you.
Yeah.
As for trucking, I am a retired truck driver. Now, mind you, don't let them fool you. Truck driving is an easy job.
Okay.
It is a wonderful job. I loved it. I get to travel, I get to see the country, and you don't have a person hovering over you. You have rules and regulations that you watch for. You may not follow, but you watch for them. And no, I loved it. I used to actually own a remodeling company, and I uh, I sold my remodeling company, and I basically retired into truck driving,
Hmm.
you could say. Um, and I loved it. Initially, I was over the road for about a year.
Yeah.
Then I got a local job and I drove a truck for about 7 years.
Well,
And uh, then in about 2016
mhm.
is when I really got involved with actual Bitcoin, you know.
Well,
And what had happened was while I was out on the road,
mhm.
I love talk radio, love it. Some of the most interesting conversations are on talk radio.
Oh, yeah.
So I had heard an interview of an economics professor explaining exactly what Bitcoin was.
Wow. That sounds fascinating. I got to back up on something you said earlier before we get to the Bitcoin and everything. But did you say that you owned a modeling agency before you got into trucking? So I'm guessing because I had a friend of mine that was in the modeling space, and I had a couple of friends in the modeling space that you're
Oh,
talking about modeling is in fashion
the
modeling. Are we talking about a different kind of
remodeling homes,
modeling? Modeling
uh,
home.
re. Uh, I basically I owned a place where we uh, what do you call it? Um, we basically took old houses that were completely like garbage and we completely redid them.
Okay, so refurbishing homes that were like in bad neighborhoods or whatever, and getting them fixed after they had been damaged in whatever ways that they had been damaged.
Y- Uh, yes, yes,
Wow.
yes. And I love that. And I sold it. And that was a while back. So luckily for me, uh, I was raised in an environment of economic knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very aware of Austrian economics, Keynesian e- economics. And what I realized was, oh, wow, hang on a second. This is actually a, this is an Austrian economics currency. And once I realized that, I'm like, oh, this is a game changer. This eliminates government
Mm-hmm.
issued currencies.
Yeah, no doubt about that. One thing I was curious about because I was looking up your webpage, I'd done that earlier. It seems to me, from what I'm hearing, and there have been folks that have had different criticisms as well as things that they love about Bitcoin. But when I'm looking at some of your prices, it seems like you are being very fair in what you are charging to allow people in. Because I'm going like you have something called an intern day pass, which is only $9.99, and even the individual membership is only $29.99, and even company membership, and I'm not sure what that entails, is a reasonable for a company $249. So it seems like you've got some pricing that is very fair, and that you are doing some education around cryptocurrency and blockchain and a number of other things. So I was just wondering, how did you come up with these prices, and also how successful it has been? Because I'm imagining with prices like that, that you've got a number of people that are willing to learn from somebody that has done well in these lanes.
Uh, uh, well, and please, you'll have to forgive my voice. I do a lot of interviews
Right.
and I host a show every day. Um, well, our actual club is in Florida.
Right.
I live in Sarasota, Florida.
Hmm.
beautiful down here, by the way. Well, right now it's raining, but most of the time it's beautiful. And our location is a great location. And basically, what we do is we help educate people on how to handle their cryptocurrency investments in a safe way and learn on blockchain, what is you know cryptocurrency, what is Bitcoin, what's Ethereum, what's Litecoin, what's XRP. There's a lot of them out there, but really there's only a handful of them that are actually used. And that's where a lot of people screw up is they think, oh, this is a get rich really quick. Mine, all I gotta do is buy the right coin. Then when it goes up, I can sell it and I'll make a bunch of money. That's where most people get wrecked. And unfortunately, we're so early in this transition because what this is we are transitioning as a global human race out of a centralized system into a global decentralized system where we share an actual currency, but no one controls it. Like the US, they don't control it. Russia, they don't control it. No one actually controls it. It is a decentralized global currency.
Yeah.
And that's what people love about it. And that's also what the government hates about it,
Right.
is they're so used to using, let's call it financial adjustments. That's the polite way of saying it. To control labor in our country. Basically, they use our currency in taxation and interest rates to basically keep the poor and the rich. It's a very good system for them. They love it because if the average truck driver, if he has a little bit too much labor leverage at his job, which means he's actually making decent money. Well, you can't have that because if he isn't living paycheck to paycheck, then he isn't held in this slavery mindset of I got to keep up with the Joneses. I got to have that new car. I got to have that new this and new that. Well, with the media, the advertising, the corporations, their whole job is to sell you things you don't need.
Yeah.
But
I hear you. One of the things I was curious about, Ben, and everything is there are some shows that we have here on this network that are very much into traditional investing, and I know that sometimes they are critical of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. So I'm just wondering, what would your answer be to those that are invested in, for whatever reasons, they're invested in more traditional investments or stock markets and all along those lines? Because that is definitely a more controlled environment, and that might be the reason that they don't like crypto and everything. But I just wonder if you ever have any positive dealings with people that are wondering to get involved in investments and the more traditional style of investment, be that the stock market or trades or a number of other things.
Well, I got bad news. The old system is collapsing as we speak. The federal government has reached a point where we are in so much national debt that inflation is going to go crazy. Now, they tell us, don't worry, we'll just raise the interest rate and that will bring inflation under control.
Mhm.
Well, no. And if you look at the old economic system, and I'm actually talking about everything, I'm talking securities, I'm actually talking, bond rates.
Mhm.
It's all going down because your inflation rate, no matter what you buy, it isn't keeping up with the inflation rate. So everything that you buy right now, all of the treasuries, all of the bonds, uh, uh, the only ones that are really keeping up with it would be Tesla, Google, uh, you know, the, I think they call them the Awesome Seven or the Amazing. It's, uh, let's see, like Google, Tesla, Facebook, and a few others. Everything else has fallen off a cliff.
No.
Every other share is way down. The market is garbage right now. There's no safe place to hold your money. So the federal government and the Federal Reserve, they don't, they only have one option: print more money. That's it. That's all they can do. There's nothing else they can do because we've reached a point where there's no way that the economy can actually grow and the federal government grow at the same time. Our GDP is not there.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Ben. One of the things I'm curious about, there is a major institution, and maybe they're investing in crypto. I don't know whether they are, aren't, and everything. Knowledge those things that I don't know. But one of the major institutions, just like truck driving can be a major institution, is the institution of banking. So, do you think that banking will ever catch up with crypto, or is banking a thing of the past? Because I was actually talking to one of my coworkers, and he was saying that he would love it if there was, and I'm trying to think of the term that he used, but he was thinking about the wallet system that I know a lot of the digital wallet that a lot of cryptos have and everything. That he would love it if it was able to be so controlled that it could be reversible. So that if somebody somehow got into his money or something like that, that it could be automatically sent back to him if it was a transaction, for lack of a better term. And I don't think that those exist yet, but he was saying that he's heard that that might be in the future and in the near future versus the latter future and everything. But I just wondering your thoughts about the future of banking and people having control over their money through digital wallets.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, if you want freedom,
Mhm.
that involves risks.
Right.
And if you had a wallet where someone could remove currency out of your wallet without your permission, then you're not free. That's exactly what we have now.
Mhm.
Now, people look at that as protection.
Mhm.
Well, if something goes wrong, I'll just call up my bank and they'll reverse the transaction.
Right.
Well, I don't look at that as a good thing.
Mhm.
I look at that as someone else has control over my money.
Mhm.
Where if, say, I, uh, here's a great example. Let's say that I'm a very unliked individual politically.
Mhm.
Let's say that the government and the Federal Reserve doesn't like what I say on my show.
Mhm.
And they're like, well, you know what? Maybe we should just shut down his actual bank account.
Right.
Well, then they can hold my money and, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, that's not freedom.
Mhm.
That's not America. We, no one should be able to hold or manipulate your money because your money is your freedom.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because the actual currency you own is linked with your labor.
Yeah,
And
and that's where I was going, Ben, because I know that there have been cases where people have somehow gotten and I know they're very protected. I have one, even though it doesn't have very much in it and everything, a digital wallet, and I'd be lying if I told you I remember that passcode and everything in that space, even though I have it written somewhere, and I just got to dig it up and all in that space. But if somebody was to obtain that like they do with Cash App, and I know that's a whole separate conversation. But if they were to obtain it and then get the money and everything, I think what my particular friend was saying was that he would love it if there was a way to reverse it, and like if somebody somehow managed to get your wallet and there was a mistransaction, for lack of a better term, then you would
right,
be protected in that way that you could reverse it.
right. Unfortunately, no. It's with and and that's why we have our club. We actually teach you how to never lose that information,
Right.
so you don't have to worry about it. If you hold your currency right, you never have to worry about losing money.
Hmm.
No one can get to it. Not not a criminal and not an actual government.
Right.
And that's what makes it appealing is because we all know, or at least the majority of us know, that the government is not our friend.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
It's
I can
it,
definitely see that. I don't know that
it's
you answered the other question, but I didn't hear the answer. So, do you think that because everybody runs, I mean, a lot of people this weekend or literally today are running to the bank to get money to continue to get that last, I joked with you earlier, that last turkey that they might want for Thanksgiving dinner, or that last piece of macaroni and cheese, or that last potato pie, whatever that maybe isn't made homemade. So they still got to run to the grocery store and they got to stop to the bank at least in the year 2023. So, if you could put in your crystal ball and everything, are banks going to be a thing of the past, or are we going to
yes.
see banks going away in the near future and everything?
Uh, I don't know about the near future. Uh, I would say the rate of adoption will be equivalent to the rate of adoption of the credit cards
Mhm.
in the early 80s and into the 90s. So probably about 20 years of really people grasping, number one, what is it? How does it work? And why should I own it? Number two is um, you have to change the way you think,
Right.
because this is a system that's actually based on responsibility
Hmm.
of yourself. So there's a lot of people who feel very comfortable letting other people hold their money.
Gotcha.
That's fine. I am all about freedom. That's what I value over everything is freedom, because I don't know what is good for you and your family.
Right.
So it should be none of my choice what your options are. That should be up to you and your wife, or you and your husband, or however your household is actually laid out. That's not my business.
No. And speaking of freedom and everything along those lines, and right now I'm in that single space. I don't have a other half of a single woman, even though I've dated a couple of them. Even in your 60s, you can be part of that single crowd, and have been a part of that crowd for a while because I don't have any kids of my own and all that space. But I do have the two nephews that I'll see on Thanksgiving and all on those lines. But that being said, one of the things the network Pod TV prides itself on, and one of the founders is a pension attorney, the other is an engineer, and they oftentimes talk about fiscal literacy and the need for fiscal literacy. So I was wondering, do you think that people in your lane, even in crypto, would like to see more fiscal literacy, and should crypto be included in that fiscal literacy? Because I don't know that many high schools are teaching about fiscal literacy. They're usually talking about like fiscal responsibility and knowing how to budget your life and everything. But do you think our school system should be doing a better job of teaching these kind of systems in the sense of there being an option for your monetary existence?
Well, that's a tricky question, because I don't really trust our education system to really teach anything. There, I think that most of the education that 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 should be handled at home. Now, there's easy things like arithmetic, basic education. Absolutely, school. And I don't have a problem with. I definitely agree that learning what is good habits
Right.
in actually dealing with your money,
Mhm.
that's very important. But I think that as we move forward, I think we're going to learn more and more that the education system that we have now is not the answer. That we'll probably have more places like what I have here. Is what we do here is we not only teach, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. We actually teach economics here,
Sure.
personal economics, and investing in your future.
Hmm.
Not as it is taught now. The old system was created over the last 120 years where the system isn't for us. It uses us. It isn't created for us. And when I say us, what I mean is the average American.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, I figure that's what you meant and everything. Do you think the system does a good job? Because actually, I've got a friend that was actually helping him with some of the things he does in the African American community with doing this monthly activity around entrepreneurship and everything. So I was just wondering, because I do know that you are passionate about developing entrepreneurs as well. So, what advice do you give to entrepreneurs starting out? Because I know I'm sometimes shocked that some entrepreneurs don't even have a basic business plan or some of the basic things that you need to even start the business. But I was just wondering, what advice do you give for entrepreneurs when they are making some returns off of the Bitcoin and are thinking about that they maybe want to go into a business of some sort or another? So, what advice do you give for entrepreneurs?
Well, the world's changing. The new entrepreneur is utilizing influence. The new currency is influence. The new currency is the shared economy.
Mm.
That's the new currency. And what that involves is for the first time in human history, we can actually have a job that is word of mouth advertising and get paid for it.
Right.
And that's the future of everything. It's we're this is such a big shift. Right? We are shifting away from a system that's based on labor into a system that is based on who you know, your network. Your network is your net worth.
Right.
Because what's going to happen, what's already happening, I own several other companies that also do this, is you, if you like our product here at our club, you join, you pay $29 a month, you hop on our website, you take all the classes, you watch the videos, you're getting educated, and you get excited. You're like, oh my gosh, my friends need to learn about this. Well, when you join, we actually give you an affiliate link.
Okay.
So you share your link on Twitter or on Facebook or whatever. And you say, hey guys, I love this course. It's amazing. Check out the club. Right? So one of your friends joins. Well, in the software of our club, you actually get 10% of their monthly what they actually pay us for the monthly fee. Now, here's what makes it different is in the past, they'd actually call that multi-level marketing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which was usually a scam,
Right.
right? Well, with modern technology and blockchain, you can sell legitimate services and products in a multi-level structure for the individual, because all advertising is actually multi-level advertising.
Mm-hmm.
But the corporations, they don't call it multi-level advertising. What they call it is a supply chain.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
So
we're here about supply chain, even with your other career, because definitely that's part of the conversation around trucking is how they are part of the supply chain, helping to bring the supplies around, whether that's whatever the goods may be and everything. But one of the things I was curious about, Ben, and everything is that I've seen I mentioned the friend that is into crypto, and I can't remember which coin he is in, but when there are the variety of coins, how do you one decide where to go? Like I said, you are definitely, your name implies it. You're a Bitcoin backer and everything, but there are also Doja coins. I understand that there's some friends of mine that are in that space, and there are some other ones. Like I think there was one that got in trouble, FTX or something like that. So there are a number of these various coins. So if people are hearing about these different coins and are interested in them, what other than doing research, what advice would you give them to pick the coin that is best for them?
number one, when you're looking at an investment in crypto, which is what you're talking about,
Right.
you have crypto, then you have cryptocurrencies.
Hmm.
They're two separate things. What you look for is just like any other investment, which ones have a community, which ones are being used, which ones have a real world use case. And those are the ones I would hold, that I probably do hold, like Ethereum, uh, and several others out there that are actually being used in technology of this new world we're moving into.
Speaking of that new world and everything, I've heard that there are some countries, I want to say El Salvador is one of them, and there has been speculation that we in the U.S. may go that way as well. So, do you think that there will be a time that even though some of these countries are considered third world or second world, that we might actually wind up following them instead of leading them, and that we might actually wind up having cryptocurrency as an official tender? Because I do know that there, like I said, I think it's El Salvador. I think there are a couple of other countries that already moving
Yeah,
in that direction. I want to say that was part of the conversation around BRICS and everything, which is Brazil, Russia, India, I think it's China and South Africa. I forget all the, and there are new countries that are joining it and everything. But do you think that we will be seeing a form of crypto as a tender or a world tender?
yes, absolutely. We already have it. Now El Salvador, I had an office there for about a year and a half. Lovely place. And yes, the whole world is actually using, oh, the Bitcoin
Yeah.
already. It it isn't it isn't if it's going to happen. It's how quickly everyone else catches up.
Yeah.
Because right now, the majority of people are holding U.S. currency.
Hmm.
They're holding dollars, and they think they're safe, but they're not. They're losing probably at least 6 to 7% of actual purchasing power every year. So you're holding an asset, the US currency, that's losing value every year. What I'm actually doing is I'm holding a currency that is gaining value every year. And so while everyone else who isn't in, Bitcoin is, unfortunately, they're getting poorer,
Hmm.
while people like me who are in it full time, I get paid in actual Bitcoin. Now, I own 11 or 12 separate companies.
Hmm.
A majority of them I get paid in actual Bitcoin. There's a few of them that still, unfortunately, pay me in dollars. But I swap those out of dollars and I swap those dollars into actual Bitcoin. And I can shop with it. I can get gas with it. I can, go to Walmart. I can go and
Ben, this you are actually raising two interesting questions to me because, like I said, I'm always interested in learning new things. That's part of the reason I love doing these shows on Pod TV and everything. But um, let me just tell you a little bit of background stuff, and then we hear your answers to them and everything. But we are in a nation of credit. I know that I've got debit cards, I've got credit cards, and everything. Is there any such thing as a Bitcoin version of credit? And if so, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because I really don't know. I don't know whether there is a version of a credit card that would exist or be associated with a cryptocurrency. So, is there any? And I know that crypto, because I've had some friends in that space, is all about decentralization, and sometimes credit is about centralization. But is there any such thing as, since we're a nation of credit, as a crypto credit?
not right now because uh, the reason we're in trouble
Mhm.
in our country is because of credit.
I agree.
That's what's gotten us in trouble. Is we have rehypothecated everything. There are so many derivatives of a derivative of another derivative that they wrap up and they put it into another derivative and they sell it to whoever.
Yeah.
That's all garbage. That's all paper garbage. It isn't worth anything. That's what happened in 2007 and 2008 was we had all of these home loans that were garbage.
Mhm.
They weren't being paid back. They had no value. But there were so many financial institutions that had valued them at a ridiculous evaluation. They
Yeah.
knew they were junk, and yet they were selling them to all these other places. All of the insurance companies, they were buying, oh, uh, all of it junk.
Yeah.
So when the derivatives went down in 2008, that's what took down Lehman Brothers
Mhm.
was all the derivatives. And that's when the federal government jumped in and said, whoa, hang on, we'll buy them.
Yeah.
We'll
I
buy
remember
all
that.
the derivatives.
Remember that and everything. The other thing that I've heard interestingly is I work at a cultural arts center. That's actually where I'm at right now and everything. But I also have friends and have helped with special events and concerts. And I've heard that there are certain performers, not saying all performers, that are literally not asking for their money to be in cash. They're actually asking to be paid in Bitcoin and all along those lines. So I was wondering if you had heard that as well, where there are people that are performers, and I understand you're a stand-up comedian, so in addition to other things, so you may even be asking the comedy clubs to pay you in Bitcoin versus paying you in dollars and cents. So is this a new trend that we're going to be seeing, where performers are going to be asked to paid in less traditional forms of mediums and more in the cryptocurrencies?
Everyone will. And it's not going to be long, folks. What people need to understand is the elites of the world are already getting involved in this. BlackRock is launching an actual Bitcoin ETF.
Mm.
BlackRock, we got Vanguard. BlackRock is the largest company in the world.
Mhm.
These guys are getting into the Bitcoin as fast as they can. That's what's shooting the price up lately, is they're literally trying to buy as much as they can because they know the monetary system is about to collapse. Let's look at some of the richest men in the world right now, right? The the ex CEO of Amazon, Jeff,
Bezos,
huh?
Jeff Bezos.
Yes, he just sold. I want to say it was $990 million worth of his shares.
Oh, wow.
$990 million. And they said he's doing it aggressively.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You know why? Because he knows it's all going to hell. And it isn't just him. It's who else? What? Oh, the CEO of uh, I can't remember the name of J.P. Morgan. Uh, he just sold what, like $240 million worth of J.P. Morgan shares.
Wow.
When asked why, he said, "I'm planning my future retirement." Oh, I bet you are, Jamie Dimon. I bet you are, you crooked son of a beep. Because
Yeah.
what people don't get is that Jamie Dimon is selling his shares. Guess what he's preparing for? The ETF launch of BlackRock.
Wow.
They're getting out of the old system and transitioning into the new system.
That's
This
amazing.
happens.
Yeah, so a lot of the elite are getting into it as well and everything. I was just wondering, and we get ready to wind down another 15, 20 minutes and everything. How much has the stand-up comedy helped you in the sales part of what you do and everything? Because definitely what you're doing is a sales with Bitcoin, and you're definitely high on this particular product, and I can definitely see why and all along those lines because you're definitely bringing some great insight even to myself and everything. But I'm just wondering how much of your other careers, whether that was the trucking or the stand-up, do you bring into your current field in terms of working with the Bitcoins?
Well, I'm kind of a rarity. I'm not in it for the money anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Once you reach a certain amount of money, it's kind of irrelevant.
Right.
It's, oh, look, more money. Yay. You know, how really, how many houses do you need? How
Mm-hmm.
many cars do you need? Are you happy? Are you going on? Number one, is your wife happy?
Mm-hmm.
Then you're good. You know, and I'm in it because I want the little guy. There's so many wealthy people getting involved, and they understand that the only thing that's going to save their purchasing power is actually Bitcoin.
Right.
There's nothing else out there.
Yeah.
Housing, that's going to go to hell,
Mm-hmm.
especially commercial real estate. Because when that resets, wow, you talk about deflation. We're going to see some ugly deflation in commercial real estate. We're already seeing it. It's we. This is what's ahead of us,
Wow.
and this is not my opinion. I'm not. I don't think this is going to happen. I know it will. because it always happens. There are going to be two groups that come out of this: the haves and the have-nots.
Right.
What I want is I want to get the little guys who usually wind up as the have-nots. I want to get as many of those people in with the haves as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense, and that's a great thing that you're doing and everything. Just out of curiosity, and like I said, I got a few more questions to ask and everything. But one of the things that we talk about on this network, and I'd love to hear your thoughts around this, is it's not so much about the Bitcoin, but it is this notion of the imposter syndrome. And one thing that I'm hearing from you, Ben, is a very confident person, very confident in what you're doing, very confident in your abilities and everything. But I was just wondering, was there ever a time that you were uh, having that self doubt and everything? Because that's something that I bring up in a lot of shows, is people that are in the entrepreneurial lanes that are having that inner critic that tell them not to do things that they should be doing. I know that I've passed on some jobs that I probably should have gone for, and some relationships. I just mentioned I'm 61 and still single, and there's probably been some relationships that I talked myself out of, and all in that space. I was wondering, how did you deal with that inner critic, or are you just the confident person that I'm hearing that inner critic never got in your way?
Um, I never worry about what I already did
Gotcha.
because it's pointless.
Mhm.
Now, what I can do is I can look at it and go, all right, probably wouldn't make that choice again, and
Right.
I learn from it. So I don't worry about actually making the wrong choice. I worry about actually making no choice,
Hmm.
because if you don't act, you don't move. And if you don't move, you don't grow. And that's what I worry about. I don't live my life worrying about what ifs. What ifs will keep your ass broke.
Mhm.
That's what ifs will do. What
Right.
if I went to work today? What if I didn't go to work today? What if I would have gotten this education? What if, why what if your life away? You wake up in the morning, you get out of bed, you say, I will do the best I can, and then you live your life. The, and live with no regrets, because every choice you make at that moment is the right choice for you. It may not be the right choice in someone else's view, but that's irrelevant because they aren't living your life. You are.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense. And I like that answer. That's a very positive answer, because you have to wake up in the morning thinking about what you can do to improve your life every time you wake up, and not be reflecting on the negatives that might have happened in the past. Because there are some people that get bogged down in the errors of their past way and everything. And it sounds to me like what you're saying, Ben, is to move forward and try to accomplish whatever goals you may have and everything. I also liked your answer earlier about, because that's something I get. Some friends of mine, I think that they get too caught up on, because I think some people are too caught up on trying to get that additional house or that additional car, or in some cases even that additional woman or man, depending on what their orientation is and everything. And I'm going like, I don't know about you, Ben, but like I said, right now I'm totally single, but I have a hard enough time dealing with one woman and everything, and dealing with two or three is next to impossible. And having multiple houses never make well. If you are in those spaces, like if you live in Australia and you work in Australia and you live in LA and you work in LA, I can understand maybe having two residencies. But some people just collect residencies and cars for the sake of collecting residencies and cars, and I don't understand that.
Yeah. I have one wife. I can barely put up with her drama.
Right.
I don't need another one. That's
Exactly. Exactly. We put up with one drama at a time.
like my grandfather used to say, it isn't that there's greener grass on the other side. You got to realize that the problem's not the grass, it's the fence. It's it's an illusion, my man. There ain't no woman out there that you're going to meet and go, oh, that's a perfect woman.
Exactly. There is no
And
perfect
this,
woman. Just like there's no perfect man, and just
right,
everybody has their baggage and their drama. So you might just be trading one baggage for another baggage.
like my grandfather used to also say, the moment that you actually meet a happy woman, she'll be riding a unicorn.
And they probably could say the same thing about
One
us.
that exist.
They don't exist, and they can say the same thing about us. That we probably be riding a unicorn the time that we're happy as well. So that's a
Exactly.
good statement, and I definitely agree with you on that. I'm going to wrap this show up. It's been a fun hour and everything. I would love to have you come back on another time when you're able to and everything, and we can even dig further into the conversations. I love having amazing guests on sharing their insights. But before I get out of here, there's two things I do with all my guests, and I kind of alluded to it because I did go to the website earlier. But if you can tell folks how you can be reached and any other things that you would like to share about Bitcoin that we didn't get to, but like I said, I definitely hope that you'll make a return trip in the not too distant future and all along those lines. And if you have any Thanksgiving wishes, and I'll give you the time to do that, tell how you can be reached. And what I get with all my guests is I'm of this opinion that the world has enough negative news and enough negative things that are going on. And we know that, like my 14 and 15-year-old nephew, they have lived through a whole lot of stuff, the pandemic and a number of other things. So on all my shows, I try to get my guests to give a message of positivity and hope. Pod TV is a global network, so I try to give them to get a message of positivity and hope for the entire global community that will be listening to this, that has been listening to this now, and will be listening to it as we do reruns during the course of the next week or two, and all in that space. So any ways that you can be contacted and messages of positivity and anything that you want to say about Bitcoin that you haven't said already, I'll also turn that on to you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this. If you want to join our club's website, actually check us out at www.bitcoinbencryptoclub.com. You can sign up, you can learn. We have classes, we got a bunch of shows. I actually do a show every day, Monday through Friday at 9 o'clock a.m. Central. So now for the positive exit, it's very simple, folks. We're all just really doing the best we can. Never judge anyone off of where they're at right now. Look at everyone as what they are moving towards. Are they trying to improve themselves? If they are, help them improve themselves in the way they want, not the way you want, the way they want. And number two, do not judge anybody and think that you know what they need. What they need is maybe they just need you to listen to them. Maybe they just need a hug. Maybe they just need, a smile. And always lead every conversation with a smile. Because as soon as you smile, they smile. And if you got two people that are smiling, you're about to have a good conversation.
Yep, no doubt about that and everything. Ben, at some point, I'm gonna have to introduce you to my good friend Jatovi. He is, I don't know where he is in terms of his thoughts around crypto and all along those lines, but he is in the esports lanes, and he is also a fellow person in the comedy lanes because he is an improv performer and has done some stand-up comedy, and he's actually in the process right now of creating and trying to build an esports franchise here in this area. So it'll be like an e-center that'll be teaching folks about esports and a number of other things, and it'll be here in Durham, North Carolina. But he's also associated as the voice of the on-the-field antics. You know enough about baseball to know that there are the play-by-plays, but there are also on-the-field antics. So he does the voice of the on-the-field antics for the Durham Bulls and for our hockey franchise, the Carolina Hurricanes. So he is definitely involved in a number of those things, and I've got to put you in touch with him at some point as well. So get ready to get on out of here, but this has been a fun conversation, and I hope that we can have another one in the not too distant future.
All right, sir. You have a great day.
You do the same and have some good turkey for me, because I'm planning to eat some good turkey on tomorrow. So you have some good turkey as well.
All right, you too, my friend.
All right.
Bye-bye.